You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Welcome, everyone, to Sketch Up with Mog and Mel. It's great to have you guys here tonight. And our guest tonight is Ted Sikora. He is the writer of Tap Dancer and Bloom, among some other titles. So we'll be talking to him. Con season is in full swing, and we'll probably talk about the cons that are up and coming. And on that note, we will be right back.
Adios. Right. Hello, Ted.
Kind of got me in there. I've been eating, trying to eat my dinner, which is just nachos and chips. But so tonight we have Ted Sikora.
Woohoo!
And you're from Indiana, is that correct?
No, actually Cleveland, Akron.
Oh, okay.
As if it's one place.
So Cleveland, sorry, my geography is incredibly bad. Forgive me. Is Cleveland the state? No, right?
Oh, Ohio. It's
Ohio.
Yeah. So there's New York, then going west, Pennsylvania, then Ohio.
It's the East Coast on that side.
Oh, so state is Ohio. Cleveland is the city.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha.
Home of the Cleveland Browns.
I don't know. I didn't grow up here, so I don't know. Sorry. Yes.
LeBron James is from Akron.
There you go.
What?
James. Okay. Ohio is just south of those big lakes on the map.
That's right.
And, JD is kindly enough to tell us that and educate us on the geography.
So Mississippi is a big lake? No. Mississippi is a river.
Lake Erie, Lake Michigan, all that stuff.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't
Home.
I didn't grow up here, so.
Yeah, but we used to live by one of the Great Lakes.
Oh,
when we were in Chicago. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Right. And every time we went to Millennium Park, that was one of the Great Lakes, which we were surprised because you couldn't see the other side like you would of a regular lake, and it looked like a beach there.
Yeah, it was endless. Yeah.
Yeah, which was surprising for a guy that comes from Hawaii. We don't expect to see that. All right, so Ted Sikora here, as I mentioned, is the writer of Tap Dancer and Bloom, which Bloom is a very kind of like a very interesting book. It has a psychedelic funko style to it. As I was looking that book over in your on your table at one of the cons.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more of what that's about there?
Please. Love it.
Absolutely. It might make sense to go back to the beginning because Bloom, we have 4 titles. Hero Tomorrow Comics is our company, and our company is named after a feature film that I directed called Hero Tomorrow. So this is about a aspiring comic book creator who has this idea that so many superheroes are creature themed, but all the good ones had been taken, like spiders and bats and panthers and wolverines. So he creates an animal that is so powerful yet stealth it was never yet discovered by mankind, and he calls this the Apama. So part of the humor of the movie is this comic book creator trying to sell this idea based on an animal that doesn't exist. Now his girlfriend here is an aspiring fashion designer, and she has this idea to make his costume for him for a big Halloween party. Once he has the costume, he starts running around in it, trying to actually fight crime, but with no superpowers. So the movie debuted at Comic-Con International in 2006, played film festivals, and then it was really a message from Tony Isabella, who's also from the region here. He saw it and said, there's nothing. And for anyone not familiar, Tony Isabella, longtime comic book writer, creator of Black Lightning. Anyway, he said, this idea that this character keeps talking about in the movie, Apama, there's really nothing like it in comics. You ought to consider making a comic book. And we thought, man, because we made this movie because we love comics so much. And, you know, I have not missed Amazing Spider-Man in my life. You know, in fact, I went all the way back to birth. So I have Amazing Spider-Man from the month of my birth to present day. Like I'm a huge fan, especially of Marvel stuff. So we wanted to make this movie that had this love of comics baked into it. And when there was this idea to make a spin-off of our film, we thought, well, you know, I'm not really a big fan of like movie adaptations in comic book form, but what if we just took the main character's idea about this Apama thing and made it as if he published it himself or something? And that became, we did just a digital issue to go on the website of our, you know, of our movie. And I got one right here. So that was Apama, the undiscovered animal. Oh, you got it. Oh, perfect. And this, you can forget everything I just told you. This is about an aspiring, no, I'm sorry. This is about a Hungarian ice cream truck driver on the west side of Cleveland who unlocks the spirit force of the Apama creature and becomes Cleveland's resident superhero. And Milo Miller, the co-writer of the film, and you know, we co-wrote the comic. We put an ad out on, at the time, digital webbing, I think it was. No, DeviantArt. And we got Benito Gallego, who has this amazingly retro John Buscema style. And we were just thrilled that we could make a comic that looked like the comics we grew up loving in the 70s, you know. So what happened is the comic got really great reviews all over the, you know, the industry, because it was it's a free thing, you know, back in 2008 or whatever. There weren't so many free digital comics to read, and it got a lot of press. And and we realized how much we love making a comic compared to making a film, where you got to find locations, actors, and the budget is just skyrocketing by the week. Where with a comic, anything you dream up goes on the page. And, you know, I colored it myself to, you know, sort of save the money, but also, you know, I was an aspiring comic creator myself, comic book artist all through high school. So I do get involved with the layouts, but coloring and lettering, I just took those on myself, and we've been able to keep, you know, our costs under control and, you know, stay in the black doing indie comics. So I'm trying to think of the images I gave you. Is there an Apama 5? Let's see, there's 11. There we go. Okay, so in Apama issue 5, we did this very specifically because we're so kind of inspired by Silver and Bronze Age. It was in Fantastic Four 5 that they introduced Dr. Doom. So we thought we got to bring in our sort of main nemesis in Apama 5, and that is Regina. So she's this hippie, trippy, psychedelic cult leader who's been waiting for Apama for over, you know, 40 years. And he is completely blindsided by her. And so Apama now has 12 issues, but what we just recently did is Regina's origin story, which is Bloom. So if you would have the Bloom covers, there we go. Yeah, so that's, and the premise of this was sort of autobiographical. Basically what we have is an if you go back to the previous image, yeah. So we have an aspiring comic book creator who goes to a street fair and sees this dancer, and he's like, hey, a light bulb goes off. I'm doing a comic book, and I think you'd be an amazing reference for my villain. And Regina is this hippie who's pretty much down for anything. The story takes place in 1969. And he, you know, she agrees to meet him in the woods for this photo shoot and have him paint all over her body, you know. And when she asks, what is this stuff you're putting all over me? He says, you know, it's, you know, you may think it's satanic or pagan or something. It's not. He goes, really, one night I was tripping, and whatever I saw, I just put it in my sketchbook. And then when I was done, I thought, man, this would be amazing looking on my villain. So he doesn't think it's anything. But now you can kind of maybe browse through the covers. Thank you. That one was the issue 1 cover by Bong Dazzle, by the way, who passed away since. It's just an amazing image. I love it. She bonds with these things. They get lost in the woods, and she starts to. It's my dog. She bonds with it and starts to know things about him, and then they get lost, and she starts kind of bending reality, and decides that this is her. Doesn't decide. She knows that this is her destiny, and that she never wants to go back, and he thinks she's possessed, but that is not what's happening. So. One of the big honors for us with Bloom is we're just this book, for instance, is just 2 people. It's me and Butch Mappa, and Butch does the pencils and inks. We had a lot of different people doing covers though. Butch happened to do the cover that was up there and that one. But I sent it to Comic Shop News just to see if they would give us a little blurb about it. And they ended up giving it the cover, which was, again, just a very small operation here, but that was a huge honor for us. And it sold out twice throughout the country when it came out through Diamond the first time. And really was our best seller to date. I mean, it's pretty close, when I consider conventions between Bloom and Tap Dance Killer. Those 2 are probably neck and neck right about now.
Did you say that Bloom has gone out through Diamond?
All of our stuff has been released through Diamond.
Oh, okay. That's very fantastic. Yeah, because when that's like the first thing that caught my eye when I went to your table, right? Because it was just the psychedelic coloring that reminds you of the '60s of the flower power era. It's just it just really just pops right off the table. It catches your eye, and plus you got her on the cover that looking all really gorgeous and everything. It's hard to detract from that. So yeah. And
no, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. And so now I have a better understanding now how you built your universe here, how it's tied in with the Pama and all that. So how do the other books come in?
So if we go to maybe some of the Apama images, there was issue. There we go. Issue 10 and 11, we introduced the Tap Dance Killer, and this is also a bit. I didn't actually complete the autobiographical part. I did meet a dancer at a festival. I did ask her if she would pose for me as my villain, and we did go into a photo shoot. And then this fictitious story popped into my head. So, but getting to Tap Dance Killer. Years ago, I wrote a musical. It was titled Nothing Like Vaudeville, and it had all these vaudeville villains in it. We were calling them the vaudevillains, and Tap Dance Killer was one of the songs. So I do film work still, between film and comics. That's pretty much how I make my living, and I was working on a documentary for Near West Theater in Cleveland, which was a small community theater, semi-professional too, though. They were leaving this space they'd been for 30 years and moving into this $6 million building. So they wanted to document their story. And they're actually moving right across the street from where our superhero lives in our Cleveland, because our character lives in an actual building that you can go to. And so I thought, man, I talked to Milo about it. I said, wouldn't it be funny if Apama is so tired of getting his butt kicked that he maybe meets this flirty gal from the theater company and she entices him to come audition for a show. And we just thought that was so ridiculous that we just kept kind of playing with it. And then when I was thinking what musical or what show would they be doing? Nothing Like Vaudeville, this show that we wrote back in the 90s. I thought, man, it's got all these villains in it, and maybe the villains get locked into the role. So they're these 1920s type characters, but in modern society. And it just created this kind of really fun, offbeat dynamic. So Nikki St. Clair, mega talented actor, if you were to put up that image again of Apama, yeah, she gets cast in the musical as a tap dance killer, but a supernatural event locks her in the role and she starts wiping out the mafia. So it's, basically she's got two other people with her. The Sir Terror is like the mob boss, and Fletcher is sort of this necrophiliac warlock who's reanimating dead bodies. So that's in the musical. Anyway, what happened with this, I was at New York Comic Con specifically, where so many people were stopping me because I had a banner up of her or pinups, and they were like, tell me about this character. I'm like, well, I gave them the spiel, and they were buying the prints, and there was just such a strong reaction to her. And I thought, man, maybe we should do a spin-off book. And then we did, and there it is. So Tap Dance Killer, the quick pitch on that is it's like Punisher meets Rocky Horror, and maybe starring like Janelle Monáe or something, someone like her. So I got a note from Jim Shooter. I met him at a comic book convention, and I said, man, I'd love to get your take on this. And he said, yeah, I'll read it, but I got to warn you, I'm going to be honest. Mm-hmm. And he sent me a note later. It said it was like finding water in the desert, which is the quote we have on the back of the book. And it was in Tap Dance Killer 2, which you have up there right now, where we introduced a heavyweight boxer who becomes a superpowered murderous clown named Punchline. And he also was a fan favorite, and we've put him into his own book now. And we just finished the Kickstarter for issue 2 of that. There's issue 1 with a beautiful cover by Jay Gonzo. And Punchline and the Vaudevillains is really the title, of that book. And there's a David Abrevia cover from issue 1. Beautiful job that he did. Nice. And the main artist on Tap Dance Killer and Punchline is Donny Hadiwijawa. And Chis Ariswenda does inks. And we've had a real good time making these. So there were 5 issues of Tap Dance Killer that are compiled in the hardcover. And the story of all the characters is continued in Punchline and the Vaudevillains.
And they can all get this online?
Yeah, our website's herotomorrow.com. And I think we were going to share a link. We have a deal going on right now for Bloom, where you can get all 4 issues for $20. And one of them is going to be a logoless cover, like a dealer incentive. So those were usually $10 on their own, or 20 even. So it's a pretty good deal. You get the whole story, and you get all 4 covers. So you get all 4 issues, but with surprise covers. Because we've sold out of quite a bunch of them, but I still do have, I can still put some sets together.
And that's a good one to jump on, folks. It's a good deal. As Robin will tell you, and as well as us, because we've got those. So check those out. It is really worth it. And to get those issues along with everything else. That's one thing that I like is during this time, because during the cons, it's hard to focus and talk to the creators there, unless you do dinner or something. But even then, when it's hard to get into like the meat of this. Like I was talking, we had Fabrice Sapolsky, right? He's got a lot of books too, and we never talked about his books at the cons, right? So when I'm listening to him telling me like what his books are about, wow, that sounds really good, And now here I am, I'm listening to you, what your books are about. And I'm seeing what you're influenced by, and you're actually the same as me, because I grew up and collected comics in the 70s, and that's the period that I like.
What was some of your favorite stuff?
And Marvel was my thing too. So, but I collected Amazing Spider-Man, Thor, Avengers, even some of the repeats like Marvel Triple Action, even Marvel 2-in-1, and stuff like that.
Marvel's greatest comics.
Marvel's greatest heroes.
Greatest heroes, that's what it was. Yeah.
And
I loved Marvel Team Up. Marvel Team Up was so much fun.
That was just like a fun read. They were just, most of them were like single stories, and you got to see characters that you don't normally see all the time, right? And back then they weren't like highly collectible, because it's not, it's just these little like one shots and stuff going on. But now you look at it and you can see that they have acquired value. And I remember seeing at the cons in the 80s when I was going to them, I'd see a lot of these books and they're selling for like a nickel, 10 cents, like that. So there was this one guy that showed up, and he must have been like a store or something. Never saw him before. He showed up at the Shrine Auditorium. There used to be a show there in LA where it was a monthly show called the Los Angeles Comic Book and Science Fiction show convention. And so, and I was a dealer there at that time. But anyway, he showed up with these long boxes, and these comics were like pretty much in like really, really like it just got delivered to the store. So I started like buying 5 of each and just sticking them into a comic bag and then putting them away. And so I got a lot of good stuff out of that way, and that are, they weren't worth nothing then or hardly anything. And now you look at it, I'm looking at all that stuff, and they're worth quite a bit now.
Mm-hmm.
But those titles that we grew up with in the 70s, even though they were kind of mediocre at the time, are great reads when I look at them now. And I even love the covers that they had like back then, because we can't see those kind of covers that we have for compared to like today. They're really different now.
They're graphic more. They're more graphic, I think, and yeah, it's really interesting how I think the trend these days is really like a heavy shading, digital shading, and I just but when you're walking through a convention, it's like the graphic stuff, to me it just pops so much more, and I try with our stuff, we really do aim to hit, when you've seen some of those Apama covers, they hopefully feel more like the old stuff.
They do.
That's very intentional on our part to try to just, well, one of one of my pitch lines is, it's like if the 70s had evolved in a different way, because we are doing modern books, but very much more tied to sort of that 70s style. There's been a lot said about the Bronze Age through the years, and what I think is so kind of neat about it, and the Bronze Age is generally 1970 to 1985 or something, is it's really when, and I absolutely adore Stan Lee, of course, but it's the first time I think he turned over the reins to some of the writers who were fans for the first time. So, you had Steve Gerber, Roy Thomas, and things just exploded in really wonderfully strange, offbeat ways. Characters like the Man-Thing, or even with Spider-Man, what they were doing with, oh my gosh, issues 100 to 150. There's just so much that happened in there. With Morbius, death of Gwen Stacy, the introduction of the Punisher.
There was a lot of characters were being introduced left and right, and it felt like they needed to introduce a new character, or a new villain at least, to kind of like make it interesting. And but now a lot of those villains, I mean, we didn't know that they were going to become popular, but like Wolverine came out of there, Punisher, they were kind of like sitting on the sidelines for the longest time until somebody decided to do something with them. And those two characters they pretty much led the market in the 80s into the 90s even. And they had such a long run, and they've had great artists to work on them as well.
Yeah, I remember being at one of my very first comic conventions, and there was like a Hulk 181 for like $30. Like, wow, that's a lot of money. I was just, I was a kid. I was just like thinking about it. I really like that book, but gee.
What was the first expensive book that you bought?
That's a great question, because for the longest time, I never did that.
The first one I bought, okay, was Iron Man #1,
Oh,
and that was a $10 book.
oh, okay.
I bought it at, I think it was 1973, 74, something like that. And I bought it from Mile High Comics, and it was $10 at the time.
So it's mail order, just
And $10 to a 13-year-old kid, that's like $100.
it is. That is some serious jack. Yeah, so I do have a moment I remember specifically, like when, I was just in my local comic shop and they were selling back issues of Spider-Man. And I, because I started collecting around like issue 141, which was like a Mysterio. So I maybe why he's my favorite villain. But they had, first appearance of Punisher, $5.
Oh my God.
But it was before the Punisher miniseries, it wasn't like he didn't go up at all. I just thought, oh yeah, I'll get this book. And I mean, at that time, $5 was a lot, but it was so funny when I really went back through my collection and I found some of this stuff and I remembered that purchase, but yeah, I do remember, well, here's a good one. So my second favorite character is Moon Knight. And I loved the 80s Moon Knight with Doug Mensch and Bill Sienkiewicz. Like,
oh, definitely. I agree with you on that one.
That is what really, because as much as I love Spider-Man, like when I was getting that book, it was like, nobody else knows about this. This is my thing, and I was so into that. And like every month I just devoured it. And the art was so edgy and cool. I know he was, kind of doing a very Neil Adams-esque kind of thing. However, I think he took it to such a more weird and expressive place, and very dark. And Mensch's writing, I mean, God, that guy is brilliant. Yeah. So, when I got married, this was back in, well, no, we were still dating maybe. I don't remember. No, we were married. And very early on, I was, my wife heard me, that I was trying to find a Werewolf by Night 32, which was the first appearance of Moon Knight. I was striking out. I'd go to shows. There wasn't any of them, nothing to be had. And, we're talking about 2003-ish. So it wasn't like a super expensive book then. And, couldn't find it. But anyway, Christmas rolls around and I get this present and I open it up and it's Werewolf by Night 32. And I'm like, how did she know? I mean,
wow.
I knew I liked Moon Knight, but so her story is she called a couple of comic shops and this is what she said. I love this. She's like, my husband, I'm trying to get him a present. He wants this thing with Moon Knight and the Wolf Man. And the guy who owns the shop is like, Werewolf by Night 32. Yeah, we got one. So she ended up getting one for, I think it was around $100. So
damn, okay.
Yeah, but back then that was going great,
Okay. So that was after Moon Knight got all popular and everything. Yeah.
Well, I mean that was 2003, so he really hadn't picked up yet. I mean it was.
Yeah. Okay. Not yet. Okay. But but I liked them when they first came out with a Moon Knight, and then another similar character, and you kind of said it in your story there, is Man Wolf, which was J. Jonah Jameson's son.
Oh, I loved it. Loved it.
They had a couple of great stories with him, and I really liked that. And
that first appearance of the Man Wolf, the cover is just unbelievable layout. Like it is so brilliant. John Romita, probably, if I have to say my favorite comic book artist of all time. In terms of just this aesthetic, the way it looks, like I would never say nobody's more important than Steve Ditko in terms of Spider-Man, but like in terms of my favorite version of Spider-Man, it's got to be Romita.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people say that. For me, I don't have a favorite artist because maybe before if you'd asked me, I could throw some names down, but now it's just that now that I've gotten older and I look back and I remember these names and I may not have liked them back then, but now when I look at it with these new set of eyes that I have in the way how I understand art and how I look at it, it's different now. So and I appreciate all of them, Charles Vess, Kaluta, Mike Klug, Neil Adams, Mike Grell, all those guys. I like them all.
How about you, Mog? What was some of the stuff you cut your teeth on?
Cut your teeth, as in like the most expensive book I bought?
No, I mean, what did you like? What shaped you?
Okay, you have to know I'm born Far East. I didn't grow up here in the comic industry, so my industry was like manga.
Mm-hmm.
And but when I came over here, my cut my teeth experience was pretty several. It was actually I'm torn between these two. I don't have good memories like you guys. Bernie Wrightson.
Oh yeah.
And it was Barry Windsor Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hellboy.
Okay.
I forgot his name. Yeah.
Mike Mignola.
But the book that I really, really read, not just by blown away by art, just collecting art, I have to say was Mike Mignola, Hellboy.
Okay.
That was a book I read. I know at the time, like Michael Turner was really hot, and my friend, she was so into Witchblade. She collected everything Michael Turner. And she made me like read it and stuff, and I watched the TV show and everything. I just couldn't get into it, but when I picked up the Hellboy issues, I was just, damn. The artwork in the beginning, like Mel, I was very picky about artwork, but once I became a professional, I just have any respect to anybody out there who puts up their artwork, because I know how hard it is. It doesn't matter anymore. I don't really have a standard anymore when it comes to art. And but story, I'm still picky about. You got to have a good story if you want to tell comic, like a graphic novel style storytelling form.
Yeah.
What are you drawing?
Oh, what am I drawing? I'm drawing Silk from Spider-Man.
Interesting. Okay.
Ted, are you gonna draw?
Well, I may. I don't usually. I mean, not anymore. I mean, I'll do an occasional cover, but I'll try to do something. Yes, I will.
Okay.
Well, okay. So on Mog's piece, the starting bid on that, if anybody's interested, is going to be $100. So you can just put that into the comics. Hey, Louis, how's it going, buddy? Nice to see you there.
Hey, Louis.
And on that note, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Ted Sikora.
Let's do it.
Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you could ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. You just finished the last episode of your favorite news show, and you just have to talk about it. But all your friends are ghosting you because of that incident last week at the buffet. Oh, you know the one. What you did to that chowder. Ugh. Keeps me up at night. So what do? Join writer Dan Wickline as he breaks down all your favorite pop culture media. Whether it's a review of the latest nerdy TV show or a dive back into the history of your favorite comic characters, Dan's ready to discuss all the hottest topics live. Join the conversation as Dan live streams Tuesday through Thursday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. The Dan Wigline Show, On the Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. Comic Collectibles is here for you every Wednesday with AR Comics for two very important reasons. To sell you rare, one-of-a-kind comics that you'll love, and to confuse AR with old man talk. You see, Rex and John are, how should I put this, ancient as the roots of the mountains. So every week, Rex and John fill in AR in yet another area of pop culture that he missed because he's too young, just didn't have the time, or just really doesn't care about. It's a real public service they provide. Come buy some super rare and unique comics, while old men explain long-dead sci-fi shows to a younger man making that confused puppy face. Every Wednesday from 6 to 8 Eastern with Rex, John, and AR Comics. Comic Collectibles, On the Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Go follow the experience on TikTok at @the_EXP1 or scan the QR code on the screen. Our TikTok is like everywhere else we are, except you only have to deal with us for a minute. Seems like a win-win to me.
Welcome back to SketchUp. Thanks again for joining us. We're talking to Ted Sikora, and I see he's picked up the pencil. He's going to be drawing something.
Yes, I don't know what. I'm just starting to
All
sketch.
right, let's see what he comes up with there. And we're getting into con season. Have you done any cons this year, Ted?
Yes, we just did C2E2. Why am I drawing a blank? Well, the big Cleveland one too, Fan Expo, which, that's our hometown show, which, and because everything we do takes place in Cleveland, it's always a pretty good one for us. Coming up, I'll be doing New York. I'll be going to San Diego again. And I had a good time at LA Comic Con. Baltimore, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. How about what's on your horizon?
Yeah, you were at LA Comic Con last year. Did you like it?
I did. Yeah.
Because that's a bit of a stretch of a travel for you. So you found that it was like worthwhile to be traveling that business?
Oh yeah, yeah. And
That's good.
it's also, I find, the West Coast shows where people are more apt to be asking about rights, and things like that for different kinds of whatever it might be, gaming or film or TV.
Yeah, that's true. Because I seem to find it a little bit easier to sell some of our books around the West Coast and around the northern states as well. That seems to be the area where people are more susceptible to buying comics, and they're easier to stop and get, pitch them your story and stuff. But LA Comic Con was not something that when we first did it, we didn't do very well, and it was such a bad experience that even though it was in our backyard, we said that okay, we're not going to do this show. In the following year,
COVID.
well,
It was after COVID. During COVID.
Was it? Okay,
Yeah.
during COVID. Okay, so
It
it
changed.
came back after COVID, right? And then somebody asked us, told us that we should do it again, just give it a try. So we did, and it was decent. So I said, okay, well, it's in our backyard, and it's kind of decent. We can, we'll do it. So, yeah, so that's why we were there. But we're also going to be next month is going to be our heaviest month for cons. We're going to start off with the Phoenix Fan Fusion, which is on June 2nd to the 4th. And then the weekend after that, we'll be at a Fan Expo Dallas. And then 2 weeks after that, it's going to be Fan Expo Denver.
Okay.
And then that's pretty much our con run for this year. We've been doing like so many cons for the past year now, since 2015, I believe is when we
Yeah.
started.
Mm.
And so we're starting to like slow things down so that we can focus on doing more work and more work that we want to do for ourselves
For
and
s-
our own
yeah.
projects.
I hate being behind, but lately, because due to so much hectic schedule and which is a good thing because people are now requesting more and more, and I have a pile of work just piling up. And but then like trying to manage that with, you know, just controlling the time is just a huge factor.
How long have you been doing this now, Ted?
Well, let's see. I think we did that first digital issue of Apama back in 2010. So, but we were doing digital issues for 3 or 4 years. So we really didn't start doing cons till 2015. That's when we released Apama Volume 1. And then we were off and running.
So I've been working with Mog on her art, managing her since 2008. Then we got onto Game of Thrones in 2011, I believe. And then that ended in like 2018. But then we started, I knew that it was going to end soon. And I knew eventually we wanted to jump back into comics. So we started doing cons in 2015, just the local ones in Hawaii. Then we branched out to the mainland, doing like Amazing Con and Chicago one as well, back when it was still done by Wizard. So, but now that's like, that's like 15 years now. So, and they say on the average, you know, business, you'll get, if you learn how to run it right, you'll get to do it properly in like 5 years. But I think as a freelance artist, and I'm talking to other freelancers as well, it's been taking roughly about 10 years. So we're over that 10-year mark. I guess, and I still can't say that we're at the professional level that we want to be, but we do have to start thinking things a little bit differently on how we do the business now, and not gear it towards the cons as much as we did before.
You know, Ted, I just have a random question. You know, just listening to your con schedule,
Yeah.
I was thinking, are you naturally a traveling man?
Not really. No. I usually just do shows I can drive to. Like I will be doing the Pittsburgh show coming up too, Three Rivers, which is a really good show. I mean, with film, I often am going on location to do shooting. I mainly shoot for people now. I don't really edit anymore. I used to do a lot of editing as well, but kind of got out of that. Just because I don't have time to work the comic book company and edit, you know, it's just way too much. But no, I don't know. I mean, I think my wife's more really into traveling because, you know, when you do a convention, it's not really like there's not a lot of time to really there's no time to do anything other than the show.
No, there
No.
isn't. And even when you're after the cons, you don't really think about that. Oh, I want to go check this out. You're tired, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, if you ever thought in your life, like before you started this, I guess, I think a period of men, it usually starts with like childhood, and then your first job is another marker, and then marriage is kind of like the second stage or third stage. So when you were, I guess, like during that first stage in your life, it seemed like you lived a stationary life, and then did you predict that, oh my gosh, I'm going to be traveling a lot, dude, or that just really came out of like?
Yeah, no, I never really mapped it out or anything, or thought like this is the start of something different. It's just wanting to kind of expose our work to new audiences, and I'm always interested to try any show. Like I enjoy the challenge of a new convention, and so yeah, I'm really one of these guys who I'll try anything once, see how it goes, and
Yeah.
for the most part, our shows have been pretty profitable. I think the two shows I really didn't, last year, San Diego was super expensive because we actually put a family vacation involved with it. So, I mean, I definitely covered my booth costs and things, but like I shipped a lot of books, took out an ad in the guide. Like, I mean, it wasn't really designed to be a big moneymaker the way I had it,
Yeah.
the expenses I had going. And in that same vein, I ended up adding LA Comic Con pretty late. So I ended up having to take a booth on the main floor, which was like $600. And I mean, I did cover my booth costs, but and then some, but I didn't, it wasn't like all my travel and hotel and all that. I didn't cover that. But other than that, I think over the last 4 or 5 years, I came in the black at every show I've done.
That's good. Not a lot of people can say that, so that's great to hear.
Yeah.
That you're able to do that.
That show we did in Chicago together was a brutal one. That one was tough.
That was brutal. And that's what and I'm not. I think the show had a good format, but one of the things that I've been looking at, and it's applying to like a lot of these cities, because we're seeing so many cons pop up, all these like little itty bitty shows that are popping up as well, and places like Chicago, even in LA. I think they're just taking a bit of the pie from everybody else,
Yeah.
And because of that, that's another reason why I'm like cutting down. I love Chicago. I'm not doing it this year because of that. Because when I went back and I tried to figure out like what was like going on there, I just saw that they just had a show the weekend before, not too far away from here, and all that is just you're spreading the money around. You're not really increasing it at all. So that's going to take away from the other shows, especially the bigger shows. And so that's the main reason for that. And same thing for LA. I'm not doing all the shows here for the same reason. There's just like too many of them. They have Comic-Con Revolution that's coming up in 2 weeks. We're normally a regular there. We're not going to do that. Bypassing San Diego as well. I'm not going to do that. But I will do LA, which is later on in December, and we just did WonderCon. That was in March. And so those were the two main California shows that we've done so far.
Okay.
And so yeah, because it's that what's that thing called now? The law of diminishing returns that you study in economics. People are going to see you there so often that what more can they get from you? So
interesting, because I did a show. It's called Steel City Con, which happens 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And it was my most profitable show so many times. Like if I looked at, even to this day, my, I don't know, 20 most profitable shows, it's probably 10 of them. Like, and it was because I had regulars in a way, but at the same time, I tell people, as many shows as I do in this region, Cleveland, Akron, I do every one of these shows. I'm always pitching new people. It's rare, it seems like 1 in 20 people might have heard of us or something, so it's always new. I don't feel like I'm getting saturated or, in a region, which I think is a good thing, because otherwise we'd be running into that. But are you finding that you're seeing a lot of the same people at these shows?
Well,
yes, for me, yes.
We're seeing, right. A lot of them are repeat customers too. So, and we're seeing, and we're lucky, okay, because, and Mog and I have talked about it several times too, because we're going like, if those repeat customers, the returning customers didn't come back, we probably wouldn't have made that much. It wouldn't have been that profitable. We would have been in the black, but it wouldn't have been worth it for us to do that show. Okay, so we're thankful for the repeat customers that we have, right? But then when we look at that and we look at the new customers that we picked up, the numbers just aren't there. We're seeing certain things that are dropping, like our print sales that are like way down. Before we could sell, I was looking at I keep track of the inventory, and before COVID, we were getting up to like selling like 500 prints, and now it's less than 100. So there's a drop off in that.
You would do 500 prints at a show?
Yeah, we were selling 500 prints at a show. I was just looking at it too, because that, and this was also part of the factor is too that because Mog was doing like Game of Thrones, right? So the art was kind of like unique to her, and that helped us out quite a bit.
Okay.
So we would have 20 different prints that we were bringing with us to the shows, and it was all Game of Thrones during that time. And now compared to like what we're bringing in, we've got like maybe 10 or 12, and we're still not selling as much. So there's that, right? And then we noticed too, we did we did Fan Expo San Francisco last year, which was over Thanksgiving weekend, right? That's a hard weekend to do a show on. Now, there was quite a guys that were there, artists that we know that are friends that you know as well. And if they weren't putting out original artwork, it seems like they did not sell very well at all, right? But then guys like Mog Park, Tony Moy, who were, they could do original art, they could paint stuff right there, do a commission. Those guys did well, right? So the print sales were down, but then the original artwork sales seem to be going up. So I don't know if there's that transition that's happening. We've grown this market now where we've enticed people with art, and now they're kind of growing their collection and they want more original artwork. And I'm not seeing too many of the newer people that are coming in that want the prints as much. Or unless there's something there that I'm missing. I don't know.
I think
that's just from our own experience that I can come to that conclusion.
I think, Mel, this is just a theory that I have, is the economy is getting a little bit tight. So people are now trying to get more bang for their bucks. So instead of buying a print, they're thinking, I'd rather spend, instead of 10 prints, I'll buy one OG. Or, however, I also noticed like the book selling, people sell. I don't think there's a difference. People buy still a lot of books, like comic books.
No, yeah, the book sales is good. They're willing to support like the independent market, and if you get a chance to talk to them, right, and that's the key. Because we're sitting there at the tables, we're trying to get their attention.
My work in progress here. So I'm doing a punchline.
Punchline. Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
All right, so guys, you see that? What do you want to start that off at, Ted?
Oh gosh, I didn't even think about it. I guess 50.
There you go.
That's a good start. I like that.
Ted's original character, punchline, starting bid, opening bid is $50. You want that? Type in punchline 50. That's an original piece coming from the creator, drawn with his own hands and pencils.
Yes.
$50.
Now, Ted, going back to the traveling part, this is just kind of, again, not really related to business. I led a very vagabond-like life since the day I was born.
Okay.
And I knew. Why are you shaking your head, Mel?
Because I know I can't say that's true.
Really? Vagabond is like you never stay in one place. You keep moving and moving. The moment I was born, I had to go to another country, in another country. I
Okay.
never stayed in one
Okay.
place more than 3 years.
If that's your definition of vagabond. Okay.
Oh, what's your definition of
Go
vagabond?
ahead, tell your story.
Okay, nomadic lifestyle. I think that's much better, right? So
Like it. Yeah.
yeah, so I knew even if I didn't, even if I try to control it, I knew I would be moving again. So when I first met Mel, I said, hey, just to test how much he loves me, I said, hey, yo, if you're gonna be with me, I'm just warning you, you will be constantly moving. You'll be uprooting your life. You literally be going to like a different state to a different state. I bet it's gonna happen like that, and it did, even now to this day. So I said, do you still want to stay in this relationship, knowing that, or do you wanna? You can go anytime. It's okay if you want to secure a stable life.
Well,
So
we've slowed down now. The hardest part of that is that every time we moved, I would handle most of the packing and weightlifting.
yeah. So when he said yes, I do. I was like, boy, this guy must really be in love.
And you know how artists are, they have a lot of books and they are heavy.
Furniture. God damn it. Yes.
And when we were in Chicago, or at that time we were in Janesville, Wisconsin, and we had all this stuff in the basement, right? So I had to lug it down there, and then when we moved in 2 years, I had to lug it back up, put it into the U-Haul truck I rented. And she wasn't working at that time. I was, and I had to do that. And I don't know how many boxes it was, but it felt like I went up and down that stairs like 50 times.
Yeah.
The boxes they were like diamond-sized boxes, from like Diamond Distribution.
Oh,
I was
okay.
using those boxes, right? And each box was heavy.
Of course. So how Ted, do you have a system when you travel now, because you're a traveling man? You just ended up being one. Do you have a awesome efficient system on how to travel as light as possible?
I do. I mean, I don't know how awesome it is, but it's efficient. It's basically I can get. Well, Southwest Airlines allows 2 carry-ons
Yes.
free, and so I have a big suitcase that I can put my banner in, and then I have just 2 stands that have these angle iron bars that just kind of all fit into each other, and then I just spread them out, and I use zip ties to extend them to make a long crossbar. And and you take a carry-on. So like my carry-on is basically a short box in a little carry-on bag. It weighs a ton, I'm glad they don't weigh that one, because it would actually be over 50 pounds. And so it depends on the show. I might ship to the location a couple boxes, but generally, I'm still trying to figure out like the flight shows for when I do like New York or something where I can drive. I've just got a cart, and I can get, usually get everything out of there in one cart trip. It just takes a couple to go. When you're loading in, I can do multiple trips, but I have one cart. It's called the Rock and Roller cart. You get it at Guitar Center, and it's a really good one for doing conventions. Like you really have you can put a lot on those things.
It carries the weight. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yep. I think it holds up to 800 pounds or something.
Yeah. For us, what makes it hard for us is that because we travel together, it kind of almost doubles up the expenses instead of just, Mog traveling on her own.
Yeah.
So that's an issue for us. And then, and I can set up simpler, but I choose not to. And because of that, I'm bringing all these extra things to set up.
Yeah.
That if I was doing it by myself, I probably wouldn't. But presentation is big for me, and that's how I want to present things what we have well enough to catch people's attention. Anyway, so on that note, we will be taking a break right now, and we'll be coming back and talking more with Ted Sikora. So,
Right on.
Come back and join us.
Okay.
Why was Princess Zelda sad after watching a bunch of YouTube videos? She couldn't find a link in the description. We'll stop if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's super easy. Click subscribe and click the bell when you do. And thanks for supporting the EXP.
Did you know that across America there are over 2, maybe even 3 live stream producers who can't even afford Mountain Dew? Take Brian here. Brian has gone 2 weeks without a sip of Red Bull. If it goes on much longer, he may take a shower and get a real job. Situations like this are as tragic as they are preventable. Join the experience on YouTube and gain access to special emojis and members-only streams. For less than a cup of coffee, you can keep socially awkward hermit people working from their parents' basements where they belong. Scan the QR code on the screen to join. You'll be glad you did.
What if Hans Gruber from Die Hard had to battle the Joker from Batman the Animated Series in a dance battle? Or who would win in a race between Baby from Baby Driver and Snidely Whiplash? If Austin Powers and Shrek found themselves in a hot dog eating contest, who would emerge victorious? These are the questions we talk about on Nerd Killer Warfare. Debate the most absurd questions you've ever heard in popular culture. Register now by scanning the QR code or visiting bit.ly/EXP casting.
We are
Welcome
back.
back to Sketch Up with Mog and Mel. We got Ted Sikora as our guest here.
Hello,
Ted-
India.
Ted is drawing Punchline, his own original character. And we are having an opening bid of $50 on that. And
Ooh.
that's coming out really nice. Man, I thought you said you couldn't draw.
I know. Look at that.
And Mog is drawing Gwen, not Gwen, but
Silk from the
Silk.
Spider-Verse.
from Spider-Verse. And she's still looking for an opening bid on that for $100. So if you want those, you can go ahead and bid on those.
Yes.
Hey, Elliot, nice to see you there. Did you get your package,
Packagey.
Elliot? I sent that out. We sent that out earlier this week. So I'm thinking you may be getting it today, or if not today, probably tomorrow. Yeah.
Ted, I have a technical kind of question.
Yeah.
Do you work on like a Cintiq or?
I do. So it's killing me to not be able to just kind of grab a piece and move it. You know?
That's what I thought. Okay, for me, for the longest time, I just had a old fashioned Wacom tablet, and I was drawing and painting there.
Okay.
And then everybody around me, like my friends, are like, just get a Cintiq, and I'm thinking, 3,000, I don't know. And then they were saying it's just an investment, so you can become better and better. And they had, reasonable, they were reasonable about that. But I still was like, because I've tried all those things, other tablets, like the iPad and everything, never worked out. And then just recently, 2 days ago, I got a Huion tablet that works like a Cintiq, it's everything. Okay. For about $200.
$200? Wow.
Yes, and it's freaking awesome. I mean, I went to the Wacom tablet company, and they were doing all this demonstration with the newest like Cintiqs and everything, and I tried them all. I keep an eye out, but it never was good. But this one, oh my God, they have this surface they created. It's like a matte surface. So it's not, when you put the pen, it doesn't glide like glass. It's like freaking paper. The control is amazing.
$200, huh? How
I
big
know,
is
and
the
the price
screen?
is freaking amazing, yo. Sorry,
big
I
is-
had to rant about this. Yes.
How big is the screen?
She just got it yesterday.
Okay, I got a 13-inch one,
Okay. They make bigger ones too then?
of course,
Okay.
but I'm not a fan of big ones because I've had a 26, 28-inch one once, the screen alone, and it was just way too big for me. What about you? Do you like working like large screen or small screen?
Yeah, it's like I have a, what is it? 24-inch, I guess.
Wow, that is huge.
Yeah, it's great. As I get older too, my eyes, I mean, I need a bigger screen. That's all I can tell you. And I've had it now for quite a while. Like it was really like one of the first ones. In fact, this could have been a line, but when I was buying it, the guy's like, they didn't have one, and then they're like, they did have one. They said because Lucasfilms changed their order, So like, I thought it was so funny. Like, oh, I got Lucasfilms, they're Cintiq, but I really love it. I don't think I could I couldn't
Replace?
color without it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I tried for a
I'm not
while. I mean,
bashing
for a while,
Cintiq.
I did use it for Wacom.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you noticed it. They're having this backside joke right now in the comments.
No, I haven't seen much.
Yeah, they're saying Mog doesn't like big ones. You heard it.
Maybe it comes back with those inches are a lot for Mel to live up to. Uh-huh.
Yes, yes. I like it compact.
I'm not worried about it.
Oh my.
Remember, it's how you use it.
Yeah, and also, like small size, small, short, whatever, anything in life, they live longer too. They're more durable, less health issues. So yeah.
I like to point out too that, like for special forces, right? Your guys that are really good, they're short.
Yeah, I was surprised.
They can
I was
hide a
really
whole lot
surprised.
better.
I was actually really surprised at that because I used to work in the military hotel, and I've been working there for about a good 2 years, and I've only met one special force dealing with everybody. I mean, I've dealt with colonels and all kinds of officers, ranks, blah, 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 but special forces, man, it was only one person. And I was surprised because in my head, I'm like, whoa, it was a Navy SEAL. And I thought they're going to be huge and like, heroic looking and blah, blah. And it was just this like compact looking Asian man. I was just a bit disappointed. Because, in your the image in your head is like, wow, Navy SEALs, blah, blah. And it was so unassuming looking guy. And he wasn't even tall. He was skinny. I don't know. It's just, yeah. But he was very intensely quiet. Like you could say he wouldn't even miss a hair, like that type of intensity, but just very, very contained and quiet though.
Well, I'm glad to hear you got it, Ilya.
Oh yes, thank you, Ilya. I'm glad you got the package.
You got the Asian storm that Mog did a couple weeks ago before we went to Las Vegas. That was a nice piece. Might do something with it later.
Ilya is the name of our main character in Apama.
Whoa.
What?
If Ilya is looking for a book that, is perhaps a bit self-referential,
There you go, Ilya.
our main character's name is Ilya Zharsky. And I will show you what I'm talking about.
There you go.
Although we spell it a little different. Is that it? Don't move, Ilya. You stuck to
There you go.
Look at that.
it. Yeah. So Ilya becomes the undiscovered, the avatar of the undiscovered animal, the most savage beast mankind has never known, the Apama. And our little tagline. This is a kind of a funny story. I met through Henri Campan, Jim Salicrup, who was the former editor-in-chief at Marvel, or not, he was the editor of Spider-Man when McFarlane was doing it. And Henri introduced him to me at New York Comic Con. I gave him a copy of Apama. He took it home. The next day he sat with me for like an hour and a half and gave me the Marvel Comics critique of our book, which was like the most amazing thing ever.
Wow.
And I said, he said, at the time it said Cleveland's resident superhero or something was our tagline. He goes, you need a better tagline, and I said, well, the thing about this book is it was made to be a hard to explain idea in a comic book. And, here's my sketch so far. Yeah. Punchline.
Oh, for those who are coming in late, can you explain who Punchline is?
He's a heavyweight boxer who becomes a super-powered murderous clown. He made his debut in Tap Dance Killer. Here's a more fully realized version of him. And actually, since we have the time, let me show something else here.
Please.
Little show and tell. In Punchline issue 1, I talked about how I designed him and the struggles I had. I was trying to come up with a different type of clown, and at first, I had kind of like this Jimi Hendrixy. Right there. Jimi Hendrix looking Punchline,
Yes.
Then I just went for something weird, like he looks like he just stepped out of the Godspell on a spaceship or something. Then I had this one, which was I do still like this. Like this would be almost like if there's a black tie event, I think he could kind of do something along those lines. Then I went with a classic Marvel red and green villain, purple and green kind of look. And I felt like I was starting to get somewhere with the patchwork. And then finally got him right there. So when I was just like, nothing really matches. And it's impossible to keep straight when we're making the book. The banner behind me, thank you, Ilya, is Regina. I don't know if you weren't here for the beginning. She is Apama's main nemesis, is like this hippie, trippy, psychedelic cult leader. Issue 4, Jordan Wong did a cover for us. And Bloom, so anyway, she got spun into her own book. There we go. And there were a lot of different variant covers for Bloom. But the deal we're doing, which, and thanks for posting our link, there is a $20 deal for all 4 issues of Bloom. There's actually, I think, a $40 deal for all 12 issues of Apama. And you have the entire range. That has the first appearance of Regina in it, first appearance of Tap Dance Killer, obviously the first appearance of Apama himself. But yeah, it's all on herotomorrow.com. And if you want, if you let me know in the comments that you want it signed, I'll sign them for you, no charge. Otherwise, they come bagged and boarded, and yeah. I feel like I got off track. What were we talking about?
Awesome deal. Pick it up.
I think we were talking about you showed your Punchline. Oh man.
That's all right.
Yeah.
We'll come back around.
I know we were talking about something about art. We were talking about the Wacom tablet, Cintiq.
Yeah.
And then we said that's cool. And then
we got into well, Ted started telling us about.
Yeah, as soon as I saw somebody named Ilya, I was like, oh my God.
Now the Ilya, yes. And then you showed the
So I like that name Ilya for Apama. I mean, really, it was a bit inspired by Homer with the Iliad and the Odyssey. I just thought Iliad. It just there's something heroic to me about it. So yeah.
You know, that's the one book I didn't get to read.
Oh,
I
no.
just only, I know we had to read it for school, but I was so lazy that I got the Cliff Notes and I just read it, just like a summarized. I'm like, I'm not gonna read through all this ancient language stuff, man. And then
It's a short read.
and I completely forgot about it because you just retain the information for the test and then that's it. What about you? Did you actually read the entire Odyssey?
I think we did. One of them, I believe we did read the Iliad, and I think I tapped out on the Odyssey. But I've been working on a Greek mythology adaptation of a musical off and on for the last 25 years. So, and we're really ramping back up on that. So it involves the Minotaur and Dionysus and Ariadne. And
An adaptation. That's
Yeah.
that is a I like that. Taking on the classics. And by the way, Ilya said in Bulgarian it means thunder.
Nice.
I like that. That is very because if I didn't know any better, Ilya sounds very like feminine in a way. Just it has a beautiful like it just rolls in your tongue, Ilya, but romantic. But then the reading is very powerful, very masculine. Thunder, interesting.
Did you grow up? Did you move around a lot, Ted, or have you?
No, not at all. I've been in this between Cleveland and Akron are basically, less than 30 miles from each other. And I have just been between the two places. Now, my wife's been all over, but yeah.
Ooh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
so when you met your wife, did your life change where you had to move a lot? No.
No, we haven't. We're still here at Akron.
Wait, it did, remember? It did, because look at you, you become a traveling man by doing so many shows now.
Yeah, but she doesn't really come with me to the shows. They did San Diego, but that was about it. Yeah, no, it hasn't gone that way. I don't know.
Now, have you traveled outside the country?
Skyline Chili in Cleveland. Ilya, I am impressed. How the frick do you know that, Ilya?
What's Skyline?
Let's interview Ilya. That's a really good hot dog chili dog place. Which, yeah, I guess. Where are you from, Ilya?
Yeah.
New Jersey.
Jersey? All right.
I think so. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I forget the address when we packaging.
Which is weird because a lot of the stuff that when we sell this art off the shows, most of it ends up going to the East Coast somewhere.
I know. The East Coast people love me.
Yeah.
West Coast, like, oh, it's a bit harsh. But answering your question, Ilya, what hardness for this pencil? This is a mechanical 0.3 lead, and it is HB. But I do like using hard pencils. This is a 3H, and then this is a 2H, and then the softest I'll go is HB, because it won't. The thing is, it won't smudge as much because of the content of the lead versus the carbon. So the harder, the more lead it has, the less smudging it will affect, and it retains the etching lines very well, hatching lines very well. Whereas if the softer the pencil, like 2B, 3B, 4B, 5B, which is a higher carbon content, it will smudge and yeah. But the beauty of it is it will be darker. It'll be blacker. So yeah.
But she does use different pencils and graphites. So you can see her like changing.
Do you find that it's sometimes hard to capture the pencils. Like there's so much, like I'm often, I find that the pencil art has so much more soul in it.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought that up. I was thinking, should I bring this up? Because we were just discussing about it with Mel this morning, how sometimes the black and white is so much better. And remember, guys, I grew up in Far East, and our comics are black and white. The interiors, all of them. So it has definitely more soul and movement and action and everything closer akin to the artist. And then the more when it came over here, when it's colored, it almost felt like, don't take any offense, Mel, anybody who loves comics out there. It has somewhat a sterile quality. It's less of the artist, I feel like. Maybe it's because it's a teamwork where it's separated by penciler, inker, and colorist, right? Always.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, there's something to pencil that there's just so much variation, and it's, with ink, to me, it's not so much about the color as it is about going from pencil to ink. Like, in fact, when we started doing Apama, Benito, I remember he inked the very first page he did for us, which I loved. And I mean, I loved the pencils, but then when he inked it, I was just like, I feel like it lost something. And
yes.
I was like, would you mind if I just tried to darken your pencil lines? And he didn't care. And that's how we ended up doing like the first 4 issues of Apama. There were no inks at all. And then he started working digitally. And I think that got us back to that sort of more organic feel.
Yeah.
But
JD
it
says,
was first.
JD says, I feel the pencil art is like vinyl records. You can really feel the artist in their work. And I
agree.
with that
100% agree.
because the pencils has more character. You can see a lot more with that. With the ink, it's pretty much it's pretty much like black and white. That's it. It's down there. You don't see the stroke as much as you do as a pencil. You don't see the different variations of of a light pencil stroke, of a dark pencil stroke, things like that. I too have always been a fan of just the pencil art. When I was collecting comics, and before I saw anything that was black and white, when I first picked up like the Marvel magazines, like what was it? The Conan magazines, right?
Oh.
They were black and white.
Yeah, back in the days. God.
I saw Big John's pencils in there.
God.
And I go, wow.
They're so beautiful.
Man, this looks a whole lot better than the.
I know the color. So
comic book.
Why did you guys never really pursue that in America? The black and white. What's up with the color deal? Like the clinging to the color.
I think it was what was selling at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I do prefer a colored comic myself. I mean, I really do. But like, for me, it's the debate is more about why pencil art has so much more soul than the ink. And I mean, I think I know why, because there's way more variation. It's just
right.
You're not dealing with. I mean, there's really great inkers who can get into those shades. But I think they're few and far between.
Yeah, we're not trying to put inkers down.
Or colors down.
Because there are people that have made their name as inkers, and you can go all the way back on that.
Okay, if I can express it in a strange, abstract way, I would say something about pencil is the beginning, the initiative of everything. You start with a pencil. And rarely an artist, if you're proficient enough, think about, I have to make it perfect, because you are literally visualizing what you are in your head and bringing it to life. You're breathing life into it. So there's going to be a lot of mistakes and flaws and whatever. It's all in there with the perfect lines, okay? So it's absolute freedom. There is no like something restricting you and saying you have to clean it up, you have to make it tight, you have to make it super clean and beautiful. No, it's the beginning process, the impetus of everything, just like the eruption of a volcano. It's like that moment. That's why it's more powerful. And then now you take it on the second stage where you start cleaning it up and you're cleaning out supposedly what you see as flaws and whatever, and you're making it really nice, the ink. It destroys all that first, the birth of all that creative side where it's restricted. The beginning is flowing and free and confident. The second one is cautious and more restrictive and controlled. And sure, it will come out beautiful, but you lose whatever that powerful moment of that freedom is. And I believe that's what maybe like you and I are start to sense. And if you notice, the people who are really professional, like better at what they're doing, the craft, is it just comes down to confidence, really. How confident are you executing it in your art? And the pencils usually always, because there's hardly like anything really holding you back, gives you that confidence. So most of the time, I think because you see that confidence and the freedom in it, it makes you feel like you're watching something more powerful. So something like that. I mean, that's my 2 cents in it. So
I think you're right on.
But yeah, I agree because the pencilers, the pencil art, you can't see all the line marks of different shades and all that, and it's hard to achieve that with ink. But that's not saying that ink can make good art and can make some of the pencils look better as well. When you see like Mark Silvestri, if you see any of his pages from his image book, it's very, very sketchy. And then Joe Weems takes it, the inker, and then turns it into something beautiful.
yeah,
And he's just picked up on Mark's style, that he knows how to cross hatch it, where the blacks are going to go, and just turns it around. So Mark is able to finish a whole book, one issue, 22 pages in one day, and then hands it over to Joe to take care of it.
but also just on the technical point of view, besides that abstract weird thing I just ranted about, pencils is a different medium than ink. Ink, in a way, is almost unforgiving in it's just black and white. But pencils can do soft lines and hard line, like sharp lines, and in between many shades of gray to black. And I think that's also what just gets lost in transition, especially when you ink it. Just you're literally black and white, unless you do many like fine feathery like hatchings. And I think that's what also we don't see, the fluidity, because just the medium alone gives more variation in shading. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm close to done, I think. I'll put this one up.
Wow,
Ooh.
look at that.
Okay. So that's a pencil for you. What kind of pencil are you using? HB?
I didn't even think about it. It's just something we had. It's just a number 2. It's just like a math pencil. I mean, it's nothing. I don't, like I said, I wasn't prepared to really do this. I was like, I thought we were just
That looks
interviewing.
really good. I can't believe you're not an artist, dude. You're the writer. But
Well,
yes.
I mean, I appreciate that.
But that shows that you do have an understanding
Yes.
of art and how to push and pull and how to create depth. I can feel the weight, the fluffiness of the hair.
Yeah. And there's a softness in the rendering, and then there's a sharp edge.
And you got 50 for that so far.
Woohoo, Ted!
Thanks, Ilya.
That up. And I'm pretty sure he's going to pick up your books as well, since you got his name in there. And Ilya, I think you're gonna be satisfied with that read as well. We got his Bloom, and that was a good read. And I plan on picking up the rest of the books that he has as well.
You know, Ted, do you like watching horror movie?
Oh, sure, of course.
Okay, have you seen the movie Nope?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, I gotta tell you something. You remind me of the guy who did the editing. You have the same like person.
The guy who
Almost,
edited the movie?
yeah. There's a character who edits the movie in the story. In Nope,
Oh,
the guy
okay.
he was an editor.
All right.
He's very good at his job. But you
In the
have that
movie.
same.
Oh, the cinematographer.
Yes, thank you. The cinematographer. Yes.
I mean,
You have that same, like, the talk, the cadence, the way you think. Yeah, it just, you keep reminding me of him for some reason, dude.
okay. I don't remember the character. That's weird. Like I saw the movie not that long ago, of course, and that character does not. I don't remember that character being in the movie, but I'll
Yeah.
notice it.
All right, hold that thought right there. We're going to take a break. We are talking here with Ted Sikora, and you know, some of this discussion is getting a little deep, but we'll be right back for more.
Yes.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.
Comic Collectibles is a pretty straightforward show. You got Rex here, he sells the comics, and you got Rockin' Robbie, he knows about the comics. And finally, John, well, no one really knows what John does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great guy, but he just keeps showing up. Come to think of it, I don't even really know how he gets in here. Anyway, awesome comics, rare books, rarer signatures, slabbed books, and amazing cover sketches by Ken Hazer and others. Simple formula, you want the comics, you buy the comics. To sum up, Rex sells the comics, Robbie knows the comics, and John, who might possibly be a ghost. I mean, seriously, has anyone ever seen him show up or leave? Comic Collectibles with Rex and John, Mondays from 6 to 8 Eastern on The Experience. Comic Culture and Sales.
Programming on the EXP is made possible by viewers like you, or your local comic shop, or that Kickstarter you backed, or the publisher you like, or comic industry professionals who want to share a message with the world. Really, anyone who wants to advertise with us can. If you're interested in seeing a product you know and love, or are creating, or are publishing, or are involved with, advertised here on The Experience, and having your message shared with our viewers, please reach out by scanning the QR code below or visiting our website and using the contact form.
Welcome back, guys. You're on Sketch Up with Mog and Mel. We have Ted Sikora here, who's he just finished drawing one of his characters, Punchline. If you could show that to us again, Ted. And right now we have a current bid on here by Ilya at $50. And if you look at that drawing there, you can tell that he definitely has some skill as an artist. And much more than I thought that he would have.
Yeah.
That's a nice looking piece there.
Speaking of which, you're Ted. Are you art major?
I wasn't. I was an advertising major.
Advertising.
But that comes in handy.
Did you run in
Oh, so were you? You said you did a lot of film editing. Okay.
Oh, I have to. Yeah. No. I mean, I started. My career has been this weird, windy path. So, like after high school, all through high school, I wanted to be a comic book artist, but everybody told me you'll never make any money as a comic book artist. So, you're good with math, go into accounting and have that to fall back on. So I did about a year of accounting. I was like, I can't do this. And there was a business advertising degree where I could use some of my creative stuff. And then I got that degree, but I really couldn't find a job with an ad agency when I graduated. So I was like driving a truck, like a UPS sized truck for a UPS competitor. And then I got a real estate license, and but all the while, like I was in bands, like I played rock guitar, and that's in the '90s when we wrote this rock concept album called Nothing Like Vaudeville that got spun into the musical, and then I started doing. My friend Milo and I from college, we wanted to make this independent film, so I taught myself filmmaking pretty much, and I was working in an audio studio at the time. So we had a recording studio in our house, but I also was working for one of the best studios the biggest studio between Chicago and New York, commercial recording studios. And once we made the movie, I told the owner, I said, we should be doing film here. So I started the film division, and that kind of launched my sort of freelance world then when I left them. So I do a lot of shooting for people, editing and all that kind of stuff. Long answer to a short question. I'm sorry.
No, actually, that's really amazing. Like,
so you're a self-taught filmmaker. That's really interesting.
I didn't know you. That's why you said guitar is a cart. It's a special kind of cart that supposedly love
Guitar Center. Yeah, it's called the Rock and Roller Cart. Yeah, if you go to Guitar Center and look at the carts they have for shopping, for moving around, you can't get this one on a plane. I mean, but if you're driving to a show, it should be able to carry everything.
Nice.
I see Ilya has a question: how to control the cost of a comic with so many variants? It is a great question. I was never a big variant collector. I mean, I wasn't one at all. And what happened though is I was meeting so many artists at conventions, and I was like, hey, how much to do a pinup of one of our characters? So like in Apama, for instance, there's all these pinups. And then I was like, when people started doing images for Regina, because I was planning to do her book, I just started to realize, man, some of these really should just be covers. And I started to come around to the idea that, people collect prints, and that's a good thing. And, I mean, people love art. A comic with a variant cover is like a print, but with a book attached, and I think that's kind of neat, So we did Kickstarters for every issue. And I was surprised really with Bloom, where like we called it the cover bouquet, where you got like all 6 or 7 covers. Those were some of our highest bid or our highest backed levels. So yeah, I mean, you do end up having to hire a lot more artists. It costs more. I mean, when you put it like that, Ilya, I mean, really, why am I doing this to myself? It's a lot more work, a lot less money. Well, I don't know if it's less money. It's hard to know. Do we end up selling more because we did more covers? I don't really have a way to A/B that. But what I do love is seeing so many different hands interpret our characters, like the one behind me here. I mean, that's such a cool take on Regina, and that's really his first ever comic book cover, Jordan Wong. I met him he does contemporary art installations, and he's very into symbolism. And I said, man, this character has symbols all over her body. I think she'd be right up your alley. And he fell in love with the character and wanted to do a manga version of her. And when I saw this, I was like, man, I think we're going to actually turn this into a new character that is influenced by Regina in Asia, who takes on sort of this different kind of vibe, but as I said, influenced by, she's a protege of Regina.
Yeah.
And what that would mean, in a different culture. And so that's something that's been kind of bopping around. Oh, the Bloom 3 cover by Gonzo. Yeah. Gonzo, he is so amazing. And he just did a Punchline 2 cover too, which is it's a classic boxing looking cover. I wish I had a way to share it.
Yeah. Those Bloom covers is what caught my eye
Yeah,
the first time.
me too. When I first, it was the yeah.
And it got me doing covers myself, because like once I was doing prints, like for each campaign, I did a print. But then like issue 3, I was like, I was so pleased with my print that I thought, I'm going to make a cover out of this. And so that I had my first cover.
Yeah.
And then, I did one for issue 4. Oh, yeah, there's the Gonzo issue.
Good job, JD.
Gonzo, this guy is a genius. Like how did I meet him? Oh, it was when we were doing our Kickstarter for one of our books. He was doing and he does an luchador comic, and it's so beautifully graphic. I mean, he's actually making videos about graphic design. Like he used to work right under Todd McFarlane, like as his graphic artist. I mean, graphics.
Nice.
And I mean, every time he's done 3 covers for me now, and they're all just really unusual takes. I love the guy and real sweetheart. If you ever get a chance to meet him at a show, stop by and say hello and pick up his book, because it's very good and just tight as a pin. And something actually, Bob Burden from Flaming Carrot fame, if anybody knows him.
Yeah.
He was a guy I met when we were making our movie. And one of the things about the Hero Tomorrow feature film was we had a comic shop in the movie, and we just assumed we were going to be able to show Marvel and DC comics, but we reached out to both companies and they both said, no, you have no permission to show these in your movie.
Oh, wow.
So
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went to a bunch of Comic Cons, met a bunch of creators, and said, "Hey, we're making this movie. Would you allow us to show your work in our store?" And so everybody was donating comics to us. So it was amazing. I mean, we got Astro City from Kurt Busiek, with Alex Ross covers. Like, I mean,
What the heck?
Yeah, Tony Isabella put a thing out on his message board, which has a lot of creators attached, and everybody just responded overwhelmingly. And this was back in like 2004, so it was a different time, and I think people really. So anyway, Bob Burden was one of these people, and he had all this film experience because he did the Mystery Men. Where am I going with this? So he knew I was working at a commercial facility, commercial recording studio. So I was doing commercials, editing, shooting. And he said, what commercial work does for you is it gets your polish and your speed. And I find that so true, and I think that's the reason Gonzo is that kind of guy. He's just, you can tell he's done a ton of commercial work, and he is so polished and so speedy. And it's, it's just, you can sometimes tell if somebody, and there's nothing against someone who hasn't done commercial work, but there is a benefit to it. If you stay with it for a while, you do get some good habits because you're on the clock and the client's right there, and you've got to produce and get something by the next day.
Yeah, you only got a short amount of time.
Yeah, and we've all, I think, been working on our own projects, which can kind of become nebulous in terms of time, and so it's good to have that influence. And Flaming Carrots, Bob Burden's a wonderful human being. I love the guy.
So going back to JD, he's asking, do you get better word of mouth by having all these artists talking about their covers to their fan bases?
It's certainly an impact. Yeah, I don't have a good way of measuring it, but no doubt about it. We had Tula Lote do a cover for Bloom, which, she's pretty big name, and she posted it on her Instagram. So yeah, Kanan White is another one who did a couple covers for us. It's great, and it builds. To me, the family just keeps getting bigger too. Anybody who comes out of our stuff, I love that. And they're
I think
when
that's
we're doing.
one of the reasons why people like publishers like doing the variant covers is because you are able to tap in that artist's fan base. Why else would you want to get a big name if you can, like Jim Lee or McFarlane to do your book? To do a book that nobody knows nothing about, but they've got a following, and they're gonna check into it. So if you do that with headliner artist, why not if you have that opportunity? But then there's also the balance, right? Because like what Lily said, how do you manage all those different covers, and are you making money? Because
That's a very good question. Yeah.
you're gonna, and it's gonna be hard to tell because you've got like 3 different artists that you're gonna have variant covers with, or you can even have 6. Is it better to go with the 3? And it also depends on who those 3 are, because at some point between your X and your Y, right, it's going to be you're going to be able to maximize it, and what that's going to be, you don't know. And with so many factors to consider, it makes it hard to tell. And so when I see some of these Kickstarters and they've got like a zillion covers out there, and then there's variations on those covers with the holofoils, the metals, and the virgin covers and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know how that can be done, but those guys have found a way how to do it. Power to them.
There's the cheap variants to me are when it's like, well, this is the cover with the logo, this is the cover without, this is the cover without black, this is black and white. Like those don't cost any. I mean, that's to me that's ripping off the person who's buying it, because all you did was turn off some layers. It's like, come on. No, I mean, and for the most part, I mean, with Apama, we did have a bit of an A/B comparison, because like for the first 5 issues we did variants, just one, and then 6, 7, 8, and 9, I thought, maybe we don't need to mess around with the variants, so we didn't, and then I brought them back, and I do find that at least one variant will easily pay for itself, because there are people who will get both of them, and I mean, again, it depends how much you paid for it, but I think it's I don't know. To me, again, I love a cover that has a story on it. Like I'm so into the old comics where where what that issue is. It's not just a generic pinup of a character,
Right.
And I think that's, I started to really get disappointed in Marvel when they did that, because like it was obvious with Amazing Spider-Man, for instance, that they were just hiring artists to draw Spider-Man in a generic swinging pose or whatever, and they were just slapping those on some really good stories at times, and there was this character they introduced, Shathra, the Wasp Woman, like Straczynski did that.
Okay.
I thought that was a great story, but the cover is so generic and boring, and it's just like, man, like that could have been a classic comic in the run.
Yeah.
Like look at that Man-Wolf cover. I'm telling you, the first appearance of the Man-Wolf, oh my God, that cover is good. And it's just like you're missing opportunities to make some really iconic, classic images that are going to pop forever,
Yeah. Now it's just kind of like the grits and the glory with the digital art that they're putting out there, and just kind of amazes us with the coloring. And They look nice. They're nice and clean and smooth, but they just lack that character that I've grown to like. That I grew up with from the '70s. It's kind of like how we were talking about pencils, right? It just doesn't have that character in it. There's no. It's just
Oh, I found it.
there you go. Look at that.
Wow.
That layout. Is that brilliant? Like everything has its place. There's so much balance.
That's
I mean,
Jay
you know,
in the green suit there, man will come in through the window, and Spider-Man trying to get in between them.
Thank you, JD. Thank you for digging that up, dude.
isn't that a layout like from heaven? I mean, it is just so good. It's got depth. I mean, I that's one of my all-time favorite covers. It is just so good,
Wow.
and it's good on so many levels. And I could talk about why it's good for quite a while, but yeah.
There's a
Bloom
lot
will
of
be-
covers that are like that from the '70s that you can talk about, man. One that comes to mind is like, I think it's Frankenstein issue number 2, I believe, which is a Mike Klug cover, which has this girl laying down on lab. Frankenstein is there, and the mad scientist is on the other side. Kind of similar layout to that as well. But yeah, I love that stuff from the '70s.
And yeah, Gil Kane, really, you don't get better than Gil Kane with Ramita inks. Like that was the death of Gwen Stacy. The layouts are brilliant. The inking is unbelievable. And like I freaking yeah. I mean, when I think about what the best comic I've ever read is, I mean, Death of Gwen Stacy is so good.
Yeah.
Bloom is intended to be printed into a trade, Ilya. But
Have you have you realized though it's now more like an unspoken taboo to have speech bubbles like that in a cover?
oh, I know, yeah, and we wallow in it. We love it. I mean, you know, I think it's so fun. Like, I mean, one of my favorite things to do is go to the comic shop and go through the old romance comics because the covers are so just insanely melodramatic with these moments. And if you can put up our Bloom #1 cover again, do you have it handy?
Oh my God, you do that? You know what I do? I actually pursue old romance covers and collect the covers because just
Yeah.
the artwork alone, it tells a story. And I even found like cheesy lesbian ones, and then there's just
Yeah.
2 women just stretching their arms and touching each other, and it says "forbidden love." You know, she is not supposed to, but something like that. And I'm like, wow, it just tells a story, and the artwork is, I don't know,
Well,
composition
our
back
story.
then, dude, it's so good.
Yeah, our story takes place in the 60s, and I wanted that with this particular cover to be as if it was in a 60s comic. So, hey, that's a wrap. Thanks, Regina. You've perfectly embodied the spirit of my new villain. And she's like, we can't stop now, baby. I just started feeling this character on a whole other dimension. Like, there's a story right there, and I'm telling you, these covers take a lot more time to design and do
Yes,
than
they
just
do.
because like this is a shot I took with the model that she posed and made this image for me.
Wow.
So I was able to give that to Benito before we did it, and I'm not trying to pump our stuff up, or I'm just saying that I love that stuff, and I've done comics where it's just a pinup, but I'm so much more proud of the things where we really set it up and do those kind of designed cover with a story on it. And it seems like a lost art. You don't see it much at all.
I think it's because, like you said, I notice every time I do something like that, there's a lot of thought that I have to put in, compositionally and storytelling wise. You have to keep on thinking about all of that, and maybe that's why not many people are doing it, because time is often an issue. Maybe.
I think that is the point of it, right? Because the process of making a comic book is so much different now than it was before. Maybe, on for the main publishers, they've got a very tight schedule they have to stick to. So it makes them harder for them to do it, and for the artists to keep up. They're always looking for a quick way. So what's the minimum that I can get away with this, right? And they're finding these ways. A pinup cover, just drawing the main character on there, and they're not even rendering it anymore like they used to. You just keeping that down to the colors to fill in and handle most of the rendering and texturing, and that's what we're getting. But and it's like I said, they look nice, but they're kind of boring because it's like I'm seeing the same pose, different character. There's not even much of a background anymore. Yeah, it's all that it's missing. It doesn't have the characteristics of the older comics, where
This is
they
looking
were
great.
telling the story.
I love your image, Mog. Can we see it full screen?
Hold on. Let me see. No, not really. Just kind of have to roll it down. But she's lying down, and
Well,
there's
yeah, large, yeah.
spiders, huge monster spider. And they're like kind of like I wanted that oni. In Japan, like oni means monster, like demon. I wanted that kind of retro oni feel, because she's I think she's Asian. So
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Cindy
yeah,
Moon.
so kind of like that dangerous type of. I wanted to do that, but well, thank you so much. Really,
Yeah.
but man, back in the days, do you remember the what I love is one of the illustrators, Gil Elgren. Gil Elgren.
Gil Elgren. Yeah.
Elgren. He did a lot of like pinup artwork.
Yeah. He was a pinup artist.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, this one. Okay, I'm gonna share this. JD, I'm gonna share this. Can you please hold on? Share a window. This is what I'm talking about. Back in the days, this is the type of art. Like I like to collect these old. Look at this. I prefer girls. Come on, like the title says it all. And
Yeah,
then,
that's great.
this thing here, man. This is what I'm talking about, dude. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
So
that's
much
my secret
intrigue in it.
treasure.
Robert, a guy I love is Robert McGinnis. If you, Mog, look, do you know him? Oh,
Dude, I have a whole folder of Robert McGinnis. Don't get me started, okay? Don't get me started. I fucking love Robert McGinnis. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Ilya Bongdazzo.
Wow, I didn't know you and I had that kind of.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. Here's the thing, he passed away, unfortunately. We lost him, I think, 4 years ago or so. But he only did one image for us, and I think his Bloom 1 covers. It's definitely one of the last things that was published by him, because it was after he had left us. But yeah, great name, great artist, and whoa, what a great cover!
Sorry, my battery ran out, but luckily Mel is still good.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. All right. So Mog, as usual, is having technical difficulties.
No, I didn't charge my computer again. I do this all the time.
Yeah, like I said, having technical difficulties again. Common characteristic when you're with Mog. Things run out.
Well, it's a wrap. It's 2 minutes. We've got 2 minutes left.
Only got 2 minutes left.
Good thing it only happened at the end.
You guys, just to let you guys know, if you want to get more incredible art at cheap prices and get it from some of these legendary guys, check out Nick Barucci, co-founder of Dynamite here on The Experience. He runs a show on Fridays at 4:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the original art show, right? So be sure to check that out if you get a chance.
Do you mind if I jump in real quick?
No, go ahead.
This week, actually, tomorrow, it's he has the entire issue, the original art, the entire issue of Spider-Man #7, which contains the first appearance of Spider-Boy, and it's all for sale tomorrow. So the entire issue going up. It's 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern.
And Ilya, I do ship from the website. I ship it myself, so if you want anything signed, if I just write in the comments there, and I will sign it. Obviously, I will sign the sketch that I just did here. But if you want anything added to it, you get the whole. I think you can almost get the whole world we have for like $80, which is like 23 comics or something like that. Pretty close.
That's a deal.
Thank you, Leah, for.
Thanks for letting me know that, JD. But actually, maybe not thank me. Thank you, because now I'm gonna have to really check out that show with Nick. The whole how he's managed to get all that and how long it's taken him to get all the pages for issue #7 of Amazing Spider-Man.
Not Amazing Spider-Man, not Spider-Man #7. It's
Spider-Man.
Recent.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
much more recent.
So that's a little bit easier, but still get to try and get all those pages because you got to get them from different people. I don't know if he even has a way of finding out like who has what, because that can go anywhere from editor down to the guy that's doing the text. So yeah, incredible. But yeah, that's going to be worth checking out. And Ilya's going to do that and order that from the site.
Woohoo!
And it is 9 o'clock.
Yay!
We'll be sure to join us next.
Thank you, sir.
Next Thursday, we'll have John Ottinger here, who's got a really interesting book to look at. And we'll be taking a look at that. And I want to thank Ted Sikora for joining us tonight, for entertaining us with his.
Thanks for having me. It was great getting to know you better, both of you. And I mean, we've done so many shows, but we never really can talk because we're always working our booths. So this is terrific.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll see you this year, and we'll be able to get more stuff from you. And if you guys haven't already, head over to his website, order his books.
HeroTomorrow.com.
HeroTomorrow.com. Okay, so, and you heard it first how all his books are tied in together. So it's a great universe to get into. He's doing some fantastic covers, the kind of covers you don't normally see anymore.
Oh, a new one. He has a new one coming.
Right.
Yeah.
He's got the punchline that's out there as well. And so we'll be. You'll have a chance to. Oh, there it is. The website's right up there. Okay.
Thank you, Jay.
And Ilya is the winner of your art book. I'll go ahead and forward you the information.
Thanks, Ilya.
You will deal with him directly, and I'll collect that money from him. All right, guys. Thanks again for a wonderful show. There's another look at that piece. It is
Beautiful.
Truly a good piece of
Beautiful.
art. Thank you, guys. You guys have a wonderful evening. See you guys next week. Thanks, Ted. See you at the cons.
See you at the con.
Sounds good.
Do you remember what it was like when you were a little kid and you got a letter in the mail? Now imagine that letter was filled with information about your favorite shows, pop culture questions, links to things you're going to want to see later, and even sneak peeks at upcoming programming here on The Experience. That's what the EXP mailing list is. Every week, we send you sneak peeks, information, and all of the relevant links for all of the shows you want to see. Sign up now on our website or scan the QR code that's on your screen right now.